Hello Skillr Boxers, today we bring you the second part of our lead hand control breakdown. In the last video, we already reviewed 4 of the 8 techniques, and in today's video, we will take a look at the remaining 4. That way, with some understanding and a few small adjustments, you can bring a whole new arsenal of lead hand controls techniques and take your game to a whole new level. Before we continue, have you ever struggled to find the perfect rope for your warm-up? Introducing Box Rope, the jump rope made for boxing. 15% heavier, 20% stiffer, no tangles, no excuses. Use code SKILLR for 15% off. Train harder with Box Rope. So let's continue with the breakdown. Pins. The term pinning refers to the practice of pinning the opponent's gloves in place using your hands or forearm. As usual, use jab mechanics with an open glove to shoot the hand out, aiming to spear and stick onto the opponent's glove with your palm. At short range, it's possible to pin with the forearm, laying it across the guard horizontally, like a bar.
Has beaten Canelo Alvarez. That's a great Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight. He did it.
It's hitting him just that will, and he's a bigger guy. It's almost.
But jab technique is best at mid to long range, as it gives us efficient mechanics, built-in defense, and the shortest possible route. As a general rule, try not to pin with the striking surface of the gloves, aka the knuckles. It's a smaller surface with less sticky hands potential, so your opponent is more likely to slide off. When done properly, pins take your opponent's hand completely out of the equation, denying not just a punch, but any punch on that side. It's extremely hard to punch out of a pin, and if the opponent manages it, you'll have plenty of advance notice, since they'll have had to work so hard to break free.
He's got speed, power.
Obviously, there are lots of pros to pinning. It sets up safe movement, allowing you to cross firing lines with no fear of collision punches. It also sets up excellent counters, eliminating guesswork since you only leave your opponent one hand free to throw. Like all controls shared today, pinning also works seamlessly with other techniques. In fact, when you want to pin, you start by creating traffic and driving to the end of the lane, where it makes contact with the glove. Since it looks just like a jab, we can use the startup motion of our pin to measure, blind, block, punch lanes or feint, and once we have our pin in place, we can instantly transition to handles, peels and pries. Finally, pinning is a great tool for taking away your opponent's best punches. For example, we saw Tank Davis take Garcia's left hook away all night with a basic lead hand pin.
We're on line day.
However, while it offers plenty of reward, pinning also comes with plenty of risk. This move involves much more commitment than creating traffic, since we forcefully extend our arm and leave it out in punching range. If your pin is unsuccessful, you're wide open. Accordingly, it's important to use this move with caution, and as part of a complete long guard defense. Pries or peels. The terms prying and peeling refer to different types of guard manipulations you can use to create openings for your punches.
Already said, tough guy.
The idea is simple. Use your lead hand to push, pull and pry apart the opponent's hands whenever they shell up in range. There is no one perfect technique to practice. You just need to get comfortable being physical, pushing and pulling the opponent's hands out of position. That said, it is still best to use jab technique to shoot your hand into contact with their glove, as with the pin, since the jab will use the most efficient route and body mechanics. Once you've made contact, you can either continue to work your pin or try to pry the guard open, as though your lead hand were a crowbar.
Constantly knocking Gashev's head back.
To push their gloves apart, you'll want to come in from the sides. To pull them down, start with your hands held higher than theirs, so you can get gravity on your side.
Video right on him, not much in front of him, you know, he's decent.
Rocks comes to the rope. Another right. Comes again to the rope. It's survival mode now.
You can also pull at the opponent's hands anytime they hold them out, be it for a long guard defense or a quick measurement.
A crude slugger, do you? So
certainly don't time champion.
Oh, not quite come yet. Oh,
They cancel each other out.
This technique is high risk and high reward. Reaching out in this way requires a lot of commitment, and it takes a bit more physicality. Moreover, if your pry isn't successful, you'll have busied the hand for nothing, wasted energy, and left an opening. As such, it's best to use pries and peels opportunistically. Don't go forcing them, but stay on the lookout for opportunities when you're punching, pinning, and creating traffic. Even if you don't follow up and land big, the stress of an abrupt opening can be quite taxing on the opponent. Pushes and pulls. Pushing and pulling isn't about bullying your opponent so much as it is about facilitating safe, efficient movement in the ring, usually as an exit or follow-up technique. This control technique is used alongside pins, pries and peels, or anytime your hands are right near to your opponent's.
Deflect that one with the...
A moral victory for him to see the final bout.
In these situations, you can grab hold of your opponent's glove, shoulder, arm or head and use their body like a handle to push or pull yourself away. As with the pry and peel technique, there is no perfect one-size-fits-all technique here. You just need to get comfortable pushing and pulling on your opponent using whatever handles you can find. That said, jab mechanics will serve you best when you want to get your hand on your opponent ASAP.
The body by Canelo right on.
Shoot your lead hand straight out with the palm forward, and once you've made contact, grab a handle and get to work. Pushing works great when driving into backward or lateral steps, when you need to make space. You might shove off their head, shoulder or guard to propel yourself in that direction and off-balance your opponent at the same time. This gives your movement more drive and prevents them from throwing their weight forward into punches in pursuit. Pulling works wonderfully for stepping and pivoting around opponents. You hook onto a hand, their guard or their shoulder, then pull yourself around as you step or pivot in that direction. The force of the pull goes into their stance, forcing them to re-stabilize, while you ride the momentum to move them around. Pulling and pushing is quite disruptive, but it's not a perfect proactive defense. You can still get caught while reaching out, and some opponents will punch out from under your glove if you're not forceful enough with the pinning action. As with prying and peeling, use this opportunistically, not habitually. Handles are often available off of measures, blinds, traffic, pins and posts. The term posting refers to a stiff arm style jab we can use to bruise and off balance, or to spear hard charging opponents and stop their forward momentum. As with most of the techniques shared today, posts use jab mechanics, but with the palm heel as the point of impact. The main difference is the level of commitment, the intensity and the target area. Whereas traffic, blinds and measurements look like smooth pouring jabs and feelers, posting should look like a sharp power jab.
Blow by that right hand of Pianettas, and it's
with the weight and torso down, feet planted and body turning hard into the shot, emphasizing extension and stability.
He is a Mexican national and he fights with a lot of fire.
Very active, bouncing around that ring.
Still looking for it.
Yeah.
Working for Rios.
Well, here in the 7th.
Whereas other controls target gloves, eyes and open air, posts target the head, guard and center mass. Posts also stick the lockout, rather than coming right back to guard. These qualities make the post quite risky.
And Baez throwing him.
The opponent can punch over or under your hand,
Been successful with the good stuff.
so it's not somewhere you sit and rest. You must be a bully for as long as your hand is out. If you're not disrupting the opponent's balance with full body force, you're in danger. Obviously, you can't punch off that hand until it's returned to guard either.
Better and better. Normal-minded. Great response. Coming to the end of the third. Landed and Frotch landed. Hasn't been there yet for.
Clearly, this technique is high commitment, even high risk, but it gets you high control in return. Not only do posts halt forward momentum, they also disrupt balance, which makes punches and follow-up movement difficult without a recovery beat.
Describe what he's done in the first 2 rounds. Smart. I like that.
Posting is also a perfect starting point for short-range lead hand controls, like pins, pries, peels, pushes and pulls. With your hand in the opponent's space, you're ready to work. Mastering these 8 moves and understanding when to use them is key to developing an oppressive lead hand and unlocking your full boxing potential. Use this video to audit your current arsenal and fill any gaps. Next, consider your output. Remember, unless your hand is busy punching or defending, it should be using one of these techniques. The lead hand needs to stay busy. But now, we would love to know your opinion on the comments. Which lead hand technique is your favourite? When do you use it? Let us know, and if you enjoyed this video, you can find out more on our channel, and to your left, we have chosen a video that we thought you may like.